This is Staccato from the Second Street Dreams Audio Network. I'm Judelyn Gibson. This week, I have a note dotting the classical music landscape about Christopher Nupen. This is the time of year when we look back at some of the classical music artists who died in 2023.
He's very well known in Europe, and he's pretty well known in Asia, actually, to some extent. But the US has been a market where his films haven't really penetrated, and we're actually trying to put that right, and hopefully we will one day.
Matthew Percival, creative director and partner at Allegro Films. He's talking about Christopher Nupen, who was not a classical artist per se. He was a filmmaker who produced groundbreaking documentaries about classical music performers for the BBC in England.
He started going backstage, and he started asking questions and getting into the depths of. He started showing how you make music rather than how you perform music, and that's for me the great change. You know, to get really behind the musicians at home and to meet their families, see where they came from, see what inspired them. So I think he expanded the repertoire, you know, what was possible, and really gave birth to the kind of music documentary which was very nascent at that time, and that then expanded out into the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, everything else that came with it, you know, jazz. I think he created, I generally think he created a new genre.
Nupen died in February at the age of 88 after a near 60-year filmmaking career. Listen to him talk about his filmmaking process.
In making those first films, we discovered two things that have affected everything that we have done from that day to this. The first was the discovery that film remembers the artistic personality in a way that not one of the other media is quite able to match. The others may be able to do more for the art itself, books, radio, audio recordings, and of course concerts. But when it comes to getting to know our artists and remembering, especially after they've left us, film does something more personal, more intimate, more revealing, in some ways more memorable.
You've been hearing Nupen's first documentary, which was made in glorious black and white from 1966. It's called Double Concerto, featuring pianist Vladimir Ashkenazy, Daniel Barenboim, and the English Chamber Orchestra. They're performing Mozart's Concerto in E-flat for two pianos.
So we bow once, yes? Just once.
Once and then you go.
No.
So wait for me. Not yet, not yet.
Not yet?
Wait for me when you get to the piano to bow.
I know.
It was mind-blowing because it had this wonderful backstage quality where you saw them come through the curtain smiling, laughing. You saw them nervous. You saw them joking. You saw them at a party, as well as then the seriousness of them performing.
But it was the Trout Quintet in 1969 with Itzhak Perlman, Pinchas Zuckerman, Jacqueline Dupre, Zubin Mehta, and Daniel Barenboim, which became the legendary Nupen film.
The Trout did have this great generation of musicians who were great friends. There was an extraordinary camaraderie featured in that film. There were several backstage sequences.
It's terrible bold.
The subtle problems of playing chamber music are still with them backstage at the Queen Elizabeth Hall 15 minutes before the concert.
It was pretty mind-blowing stuff. They were joking, they were swapping instruments, they were teasing each other. You know, there was a very serious public waiting for them on the other side, but there they were, you know, geeing each other up backstage.
Matthew Percival is now leading Nupen's company, Allegro Films, and he has goals.
Our mission now really is obviously to make new films and continue the legacy he left with Allegro Films. But I want the films to be seen by as many people as possible, whether that's libraries or young people in educational institutions. So our work is to distribute the films as widely as possible.
You can see Nupen's Double Concerto film on YouTube. The others, over 20 of them, are available on the Allegro Films website. Find the links on the Staccato page on secondstreetdreams.com. That's Staccato. I'm Julie Gibson.